Assalamualaikum. My name is Farhanim binti Wan Azmin and my partner is Rabihatus Saadah binti Ahmad. We are given a task to make a short video about muamalat principles in capital market. So in this task we have choose Mudharabah and Musyarakah as our topic. I will be explain about Mudharabah and my partner will be explain about Musyarakah. I will be present about the definition, pillars, condition of Mudharabah, financial instruments, and lastly is the current issues. So the first one is the definition of Mudharabah. So Mudharabah derived from the phrase Daraba fi al-ard, which means to make a journey, and it is called this because the agent, or we call it as entrepreneur, get profit by virtue of his hard work and effort in performing long journeys. Technically, Mudharabah is a partnership contract between Rab al-Mal, or we call it is capital provider, and Mudarib, entrepreneur, in which the Mudarib will manage the capital provided by the Rab al-Mal for a purpose of investment. Any derived profits will be shared between them at a mutually agreed profit sharing ratio. In case of a loss, only the Rab al-Mal will bear all the financial loss. The Mudarib will lose in terms of efforts and he is not liable to bear the financial loss unless such loss is due to his misconduct, negligence, or breach of specified terms. Next, the pillars of Mudharabah. So there are 6 pillars of Mudharabah. The first one is Sahibul Mal. Sahibul Mal is the owner of capital and also the fund provider. Next, Mudarib. Mudarib is entrepreneur. Rasul Mal. Rasul Mal is the capital. Next, Al-Amal or Mashru is the business venture or projects. Next, Rib. Rib is the predetermined share of profit. And lastly is Sirah. Sirah is hijab, offer, and qabul, acceptance. Then, the condition of Mudharabah. A Mudharabah contract need to meet certain requirements and conditions for it to be deemed valid. These include, the first one is condition related to Mudharabah capital. It must be in the form of money and not commodities, since commodities fluctuate in price and cause uncertainty and ignorance. Next, the capital must be clearly specified, determined, and known at the time of the contract. The third one is it must be available cash present during the conclusion of the contract, and it must be delivered to the possession of the Mudarib entirely. The second one is the condition related to Mudharabah subject matter or work. So, the work or business venture under Mudharabah must be conducted solely by the entrepreneur, or we call it is Mudarib. It is not legal if the capital provider of Buma was also required to conduct the daily operation. Next, the project must be legal and permissible, or we call it is as halal. So next, all the expenses will be taken from the capital provided that is not more than justified expenses required in the venture. Next, the third one is condition related to Mudharabah profit. So, the distribution of profit must be determined proportionally between the capital provider and the entrepreneur. Next, the predetermined profit must be in a ratio form or percentage and not in a fixed amount. And lastly is, it is allowed to be different ratios at a different situation. Next, financial instruments that apply in the respective muamalat principles are: first, working capital financing; second, saving or current or investment account; third, interbank lending or borrowing; fourth, sukuk; and lastly is the project financing. Next is the current issues related to the muamalat principles. So, the issues is the issues in profit. The first one, there cannot be a distribution of profit until the losers has been written off and the equity of Rab al-Mal has been fully restored. Next, any distribution of profits before the conclusion of the contract will be considered as an advance. Next, all losses incurred in the ordinary course of business must be charged against profit before they can be charged against the equity of Rab al-Mal. Next, if it has been agreed that the entire profit will be taken by the Rab al-Mal, the Mudarib will be entitled to the customary remuneration. So, if it has been agreed that the entire profit will be taken by the Mudarib, the Rab al-Mal is a creditor and the Mudarib is a debtor. And lastly is the Mudarib cannot claim any periodical salary or fee or remuneration for the work done by him for the Mudharabah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rabihatus Saadah binti Ahmad. My matric number is 2019310415. Today, in this video, I will continue with my part, which is about Musyarakah. So now, let's look into the introduction for Musyarakah. Musyarakah is also known as Al-Sharikah. And this is the two perspective of meaning, which is literally and technically. From literally meaning, musyarakah means intermingling of properties whereby one cannot be differentiated from the other. The second one, musyarakah means mixing of two properties so that they could not be distinguished from each other. For technically meaning, musyarakah means one agreement between two or more parties to combine their asset, labor, or liabilities for the purpose of making profit. Now, let's see the elements of musyarakah. The first element of musyarakah is offer and acceptance, which is ijab and qabul. The second one is contracting parties. So, since this is musyarakah contract, the parties that involved must be two or more parties. And the last one is the subject matter of the agreement, which is capital and work. For the capital that want to contribute in this musyarakah contract, the capital must fulfill some following condition, which is the capital that want to contribute must be in cash, gold, silver or any equivalence and value. Next, the capital also can be in forms of intangible rights such as trademark and similar rights. Now, let's continue to the condition of valid musyarakah. In order to have a valid musyarakah, the element of musyarakah contract must follow some conditions. The first one, the condition of shareholder and partner. In order to have a valid musyarakah, the shareholder and the partner of musyarakah contract must be qualified person to appoint an agent or to be appointed as an agent under the principle of al-wakalah. Al-musyarakah partnership and company-based business can be made between individual, also between organization. Next, the conditions of capital. A valid capital in musyarakah contract is the capital must be in cash or things that are equivalent into money. The capital also must be pulled together and are not segregated so that it cannot be identified the owner or actual share. The amount of share is not determined to be the same as the other members. The shareholder can transfer his share to another person. Now, let's go through to the financial instrument that apply the respective of muamalat perspective. The first one is application of musyarakah in domestic trade. In domestic trade, bank will enter into the partnership agreement with the client for the sale and purchase of local goods that the specifications are given by the client. The total cost of the good is divided between the parties and the both parties will agree to contribute their share of cost of the goods. Next, an agreed percentage of the profit is given to the client in case of profit. And if there is a loss, all the partners share the loss according to their contribution in the musyarakah. For example, in Sudan, Al-Barakah Bank is using this technique to finance the purchase and sale of local goods. Next, the applications of musyarakah to the importation of goods. The importer requests the bank to participate in the import and sale of certain goods. The total cost of importing the goods is declared and the capital contributions of each party is specified. Now, let's go through to the issue of current practice in musyarakah contract. The first issue is about high risk. Bank prefer low risk product. For bank, the lower the risk is the better. However, musyarakah are classified as a higher risk product by bank. There are various types of risks that Islamic bank will face as a musyarik when they involved in musyarakah contract. The next issue is asymmetry information problem and moral hazard. Asymmetric information can happen when the musyarik fails to report the outcome of the project accurately due to their untruthful and dishonest behavior. For example, the partner declare that they are in the loss in order to avoid paying the agreed profit, and some of the partner is no longer interested nor motivated to fulfill the project. So if this happen, a bank will not make profit due to the musyarik untruthful behavior. Due to these situations, banks are not ready to bear this kind of losses. So that's all from us. Thank you.